Hey guys, welcome back to another deck building video. Now today in this video we are going to be taking a look at a dice luck deck, or simply just a luck deck. This is going to be a luck deck that involves dice specifically, not coin tosses. So let's just get right into it. So this is like an overview of what the deck's going to look like. It's nothing crazy, and keep in mind this deck is not meta at all. Or really even close to being that good. This is definitely just a deck that you could run online with your friends if you are just, not playing meta, wanting to have some fun. This is definitely a deck you can try out. That's certainly fun for you and your opponent, depending on who they are. So, we'll just get into it. Now, the monsters in this deck are not very strong, but their effects are really where they come in. So we'll start with you'll need 2 copies of Orgoth the Relentless. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can roll a 6-sided die 3 times, and this card gains attack and defense equal to the total times 100 until the end of your opponent's turn. Then, if 2 of the results were the same, apply the appropriate effect. If all 3 were the same, apply all of these effects. So if it's 1 or 2, this card cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. If it's 3 or 4, draw 2 cards, and if it's 5 or 6, this card cannot attack directly this turn. So you want 2 of him. Then you're going to want 2 of the maximum 6 card. When this card is tribute summoned, roll a 6-sided die, and this card gains attack equal to the result times 200. So it's a pretty good attack. He already has 1900. So you can get a good bonus in there of 1800, I believe, if you roll a 6. So not bad. Especially for a 6-star. And then 3 copies of Snipe Hunter. You can discard 1 card, then target 1 card on the field. Roll a 6-sided die and destroy that target unless you roll a 1 or a 6. So if you roll a 2 through 5, you can destroy a card you target, which is nice. You're gonna have 3 copies of Cuban, 1900 defense, so this is more of a blocker card. Once per turn, you can roll a 6-sided die. While this monster is face up on the field, neither player can normal or special summon monsters with the same level as the result. So you roll a die, and you activate the effect, and you roll a die, and say you roll a 5. Well, now that Cuban's up on the field, you rolled a 5, neither of you can summon level 5 monsters. Pretty simple, pretty nice. 3 copies of Roulette Barrel. Once per turn, you can roll a 6-sided die twice. Choose 1 result, and destroy 1 monster on the field whose level is equal to that result. So it's kind of similar to Cuban, where you can roll 2 dice, you pick 1, and then the number corresponds with the level, and you can destroy a monster of that level. Again, similar to Cuban. 3 copies of Dice Lops. Once per turn, you can roll a 6-sided die, then apply the result. If you roll a 1, look at your opponent's hand. You can also discard a card from their hand. If it's a 2, 3, 4, or 5, discard 1 card from your hand, and if it's 6, discard your entire hand. So you want to roll 1 with this guy. Now, we're going to run 2 copies of Dice Jar. Now, this is by far the funniest card in this deck, and the reason for that is because it's a really weird flip effect. So, when it's flip summoned, both players roll a 6-sided die. The player with the lower result takes damage equal to their opponent's roll times 500. However, if the winner rolled a 6, the loser takes 6,000 damage directly. If the rolls are the same, both players re-roll. So what this is if I roll a 3 and my opponent rolls a 1, I win. They take damage 3 times 500. But if I roll a 6, they just take 6,000. So, but that also means that you can take 6,000. So it's a very big gamble card that can win games, and lose you games. But it's a fun card to use. Then we're gonna run 2 copies of Dice. Roll a 6-sided die, and if you roll a 1 or a 6, add 1 card from your deck to your hand that requires a die roll. So pretty much any card in this deck. If you roll a number other than 1 or 6, roll it again and apply the appropriate effect. 1 or 6, return this card to the hand. 2, 3, 4, or 5, place this card on the top of your deck. You can only activate 1 dice per turn. That's a good card that doesn't really have any downsides. And you basically just get to keep playing it. If you don't roll the 1 or a 6, you either get it to the hand or it goes to the top of your deck. So you just get to get that card back. 2 copies of Dangerous Machine Type 6, Continuous Spell. During each of your standby phase, roll a 6-sided die and apply the result. 1. Discard a card. 2. Your opponent discards a card. 3. Draw a card. 4. Your opponent draws a card. 5. Destroy a monster your opponent controls. 6. Destroy this card. So there's 3 good things and 3 bad things on this. So you have a 50-50 shot. And you get to do that every standby phase unless you roll a 6 and the card is destroyed. 2 copies of Summon Dice. Pay 1,000 life points and roll a 6-sided die and apply the results. So 1 or a 2, immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon 1 monster, so it effectively gives you 2 normal summons. 3 or 4, you can special summon 1 monster from your graveyard. 5 or 6, you can special summon 1 level 5 or higher monster from your hand. You can only activate 1 summon dice per turn. So not really any downsides other than you have to pay 1,000 to use it. 2 copies of Dice Foon. Roll a 6-sided die and apply the result. 2, 3, or 4, destroy 1 spell or trap on the field. 5, destroy 2 spells or traps on the field. And 1 or 6, you take 1,000 damage. So again, good quick play card. You have a 33% chance to take 1,000 life points. And a 60% chance to destroy spells and traps on the field. Pretty good. Graceful Dice. Roll a 6-sided, you're going to run 2 copies. Roll a 6-sided die. All monsters you currently control gain attack and defense equal to the result times 100 until the end of the turn. So it doesn't have a downside, it's a quick play, and yeah, it's just a attack gain and defense gain for all your monsters. And then 2 copies of Roulette Spider. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, roll a 6-sided die and apply the result. 1. Have your life points, which is bad. 2. Make that attack a direct attack. 3. Choose 1 monster you control, change the attack target to it, and perform damage calculation. 4. Choose 1 other monster your opponent controls, change that target to it, and perform damage calculation. 5. Negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack. Or 6. Destroy that opponent's monster. So you have there's 2 bad things on here. Rolling a 1 or a 2, but anything else is pretty good. It's a good quick play whenever they attack, and you got a 66% chance to do something pretty good. Then for traps, we're going to run 3 copies of Dice Reroll. This is going to be one of the main cards that you're going to want to have. So 1 time during the rest of this turn, if either player rolls a die or dice, you can have the player's reroll. You only gain this effect once per turn. So what this is if you activate a card, so example, Dice Jar. Dice Jar gets attacked or you flip summon it. Well, you can activate its effect, and then in response to activating its effect, you can activate Dice Reroll, and then you resolve, and then that resolves, and then you can resolve Dice Jar and roll, and say you lose, you roll a 2 and the opponent rolls a 5. Well, you can use this to give yourselves a reroll, so you both can roll a second time, so it gives you another chance. It's kind of like the coin toss spell. There's a continuous spell for the coin toss decks that lets you reflip a coin once per turn, but that's a continuous spell, and this is a 1-use trap that goes for the rest of the turn, which is why we're running 3 of them. And then 2 blind obliterations. Roll a 6-sided die twice and destroy all face-up monsters with levels or ranks lower than the total roll. So, pretty cool. 2 skull dice. Roll a 6-sided die. All monsters your opponent controls lose attack and defense equal to the result times 100 until the end of this turn. So, opposite of graceful dice. And then 3 of that 6, the continuous trap. Each time a player rolls a die or dice, you can choose 1 die result and apply the appropriate effect based on the result. 1, 3, or 5, the die result is treated as a 6, and a 2, 4, or 6, the die result is treated as a 1. This is a continuous trap that works continuously. This is a very good card for this deck, and the reason for that is because, say, we'll go back to Dice Jar as an example. Say, it's flip summon, you guys roll. Well, say you roll a 1 and your opponent rolls a 6. You take 6,000, right? Well, you can activate this card by activating the trap or just activating the effect since it's continuous. Each time a player rolls a die or dice, you can choose one of the die results and apply the appropriate effect based on the result. So if you roll a 1 and they roll a 6, well, you can activate this, and right here it says if it's a 2, 4, or 6, the die result can be treated as 1, so it turns into a 1. So you both actually roll a 1, which means you get to re-roll because of dice jar. So you get another shot. This can also be treated the other way around. So say dice jar gets flip summoned. You roll a 3 and your opponent rolls a 5. Well, what you can do is activate this, and since you rolled a 3, you can treat it as a 6, and then they'll immediately take 6,000 because of dice jar. So it's a very good trap card for this deck that lets you basically decide who rolls what, which is very good. This is a luck-based deck, but this card does take the luck out of it, and it actually gives you somewhat control of what's going on. And then for the extra deck, all we got is 2 number 85 crazy boxes. Requires 2 level 4 monsters. This card cannot attack. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Iggy material from this card and roll a 6-sided die and apply the result. If you roll a 1, half your life points. If it's a 2, draw a card. 3, your opponent discards a card. 4, negate the effects of 1 face-up card on the field until the end of this turn. And 5, destroy 1 card in the field. 6, destroy this card. So it's got a couple good effects on there, but nothing crazy. It is level 4, so it will be easy to summon. Like, you can just use 2 Snipe Hunters, or 2 Cubans, 2 Dice Lops, 2 Roulette Barrels. You could even toss the 3rd crazy box in here if you wanted to. I don't think you're ever really going to need 3, so you can just run 2. But this, if you are planning on building a deck like this, this is really the only go-to extra deck card for dice roll decks. So if you want to run through, you can. It's definitely not an expensive card. I think, because I've ordered the card for this deck, and I'm building it IRL, and I think it was like, I don't know, $1.35 for 1 crazy box, so it's not crazy. Honestly, this entire deck to build, I think, cost me $35 or $40, and for a whole deck, that's definitely not super expensive compared to some other decks where 1 card costs that much. So yeah, that's the Dice Luck deck review video, slash deck guide, slash deck profile, whatever you want to call it. I definitely recommend playing this, not as a legitimate strategy, but definitely as something as, like, you're going over to your friend's house for the weekend and you know you guys are going to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Set this up. It's pretty fun. Especially if your opponent is going to play the other luck deck, being the coin toss deck. Dice rolls versus coin toss is a super fun matchup, and I highly recommend it to anyone that's looking for something that doesn't take a lot of skill to learn, is really fun, and is not purely skill based. It's mostly luck based. Now there is skill elements, but it is mostly luck based because it is coin tossing or dice rolling. Hopefully I think I'm gonna do a coin toss deck profile soon. Not sure when. I'll have to build one first, that's for sure. But yeah, that was the Dice Luck video. If you like this video, please hit the like button. It means a lot, and it keeps my YouTube algorithm ratios up, as well as subscribe if you haven't already. Just any support you're willing to give really helps out the channel grow. As you can hopefully tell by my videos, I do put in not an insane amount of work, but I do try hard to make these videos at least somewhat quality and bearable to watch. So any support and feedback you guys can give is greatly appreciated. And that's going to be all for this video.